It is the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I am Maurice Patton, joined by the road-weary Wade Neely here on this Monday, as we will be with you here for the next couple of hours discussing sports topics of local, regional, and national import. So stick around. Should be fun as we bring you back from the holiday weekend. Well, kind of holiday weekend. Is it really a holiday weekend, Wade, when the holiday was on Thursday?
It kind of feels like one. And I've kind of just been saying it just to, I don't know, it just feels like it rolls off the tongue. I did talk with some folks. They did have to work on Friday, and I kind of just tried to empathize as best I could with them, right? I mean, it was that's a tough gig right there.
That is
it's like
tough
working the
gig.
day after Thanksgiving, right?
It really is, as well as we typically find ourselves doing, actually, in our other line. But it kind of helps when you have a little bit more say in the schedule. As we mentioned last week, it would be kind of tough to be off on Thursday and come back on Friday. So we didn't. Hope y'all enjoyed your time off, whatever it was, and glad to have you back with us here. In the second hour of today's show, we will be talking a little Women's National Basketball Association with our guy, Willie Ramirez, out of Las Vegas, because Wade's favorite team has been on a little bit of a come up here of late. So we're going to check in with Willie G and see what's up out there with the Aces. In our next segment, we will be joined by the still scheming, still planning Nashville Cats coach, Dean COKINOS, because after being off for 3 weeks, the Nashville Cats announced their presence with authority in the opening round of the Arena Football League playoffs. We will talk more about that with him as they continue to game plan. So looking forward to visiting with Dean in the next segment. We'll also be talking little Braves. They had a decent weekend. We'll be talking little Astros, little all-star chatter, and we will get into the grab bag to close out the show. So there's a lot. I'm particularly looking forward to our segment at the top of the hour, as we will get a little deeper into the upcoming All-Star game next Tuesday night out at Arlington. We got some folks that kind of deserve a little note. So we will dive into that in the second hour after we get done with our typical MLB conversation. So again, looking forward to all of that. Wade, as I said, you're a little road weary. You wound up doing some traveling, some unexpected traveling this weekend, I guess.
Yeah, out of town, had to go up to Illinois, death in the girlfriend's family. And we were at the family reunion Thursday for the 4th of July, having a big time, getting lit up by mosquitoes like everybody does, and got the news. So on the road we go. Cubs were right in town, but couldn't make it over there, unfortunately, to Wrigley. So it was a quick trip, but glad to be back and ready for a full week here as we enter the where's the tumbleweed GIF when we need it, right? I mean, we enter the doldrums of the sports schedule. We might have to get you to talk some soccer, because I mean it is cold out here in these sports streets other than baseball. And then next week we'll really enter that kind of twilight.
The All-Star break is notorious for slow times. So yeah, we may have to dive into some tiddlywinks or something here before too long. If you know of a professional tiddlywinks league or an amateur one, let us know. Because we may need to get into it to fill 2 hours. You know, there was talk by some folks of us going to 3 hours at one time, and these were the times that we were like, ain't no way. So
yeah, creativity's got to be at an all-time high during this time of the year. But things will be right back in full swing. You know, we get like a 2-week window where there's not a lot going on. The Olympics kind of bails us out this year. Some years you got like a World Cup or something going on, but then, I mean, boom, you blink. I mean, Hard Knocks is already rolling, and we've got the earliest, I think, Hall of Fame game in NFL history. I thought I read last week. So it'll be here soon, but right now we just got to hang on, as Mama Neely likes to say.
And High school football coaches all over Tennessee would say, "What are you talking about? We just came back. This is our first day back from the dead period. We're rolling." So, yeah, we might have to get out to some high school stuff here over the
Yeah,
next
you
bit.
can spot the high school anybody affiliated with a high school football program because they got a little more extra pep in their step, I guess. Everybody else is like, man, it's the middle of July. Let's chill out a little bit.
Yep, let's crank it back a little bit, but they are full go right now. So yeah, it's fun. We're resting. They're not, but we're all going to be rolling here before too long. So we will get there soon enough. In the meantime, Wade, let's go ahead and give the people this weekend's results and today's very, very short schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you, as always, by our friends at Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. So give them a call today. That number is 931-388-5831, or you can visit their website at zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Once again, Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college and equipped for purpose.
Major League Baseball results from the weekend. On Friday, Philadelphia opened a 3-game series at Truist Park and defeated the Braves 8-6. The Astros, goodness, a little slow pitch softball action as the Astros down Minnesota 13-12 on Friday. On Saturday, it was the Twins 9, the Astros 3, and the Braves with a 5-1 victory over Philadelphia. On Sunday, the Braves closed out that series with their 11th shutout of the season, leading all of Major League Baseball, blanking the Phillies 6-0. And Minnesota finishes off that series with a 3-2 win over Houston. Sounds action from the weekend, closing out that 6-game, 2-city series. At First Horizon Park, it was Memphis 10, Nashville 3 on Thursday, Memphis 7, Sounds 4 on Friday, and in Saturday's finale, the Sounds get a 4-1 victory.
Decent little schedule of results, or decent little slew of results coming in from Friday through the weekend in WNBA action. Here we go. Beginning on Friday, it was Dallas defeating Atlanta 85-82 was that score. It was the Sparks defeating the Aces 98-93. Chicago knocked off Seattle. Good win for the Sky, who were rolling, folks, 88-84. Saturday saw the Fever defeat the Liberty in a big upset, 83-78. The Lynx take care of Washington, 74-67. That took us into Sunday, where Connecticut defeated Atlanta 80-67. The Aces get a bounce back versus Dallas, 104-85 there. Seattle defeats Chicago 84-71. It was Phoenix knocking off the Sparks. It was 84-78. AFL score from Friday night, it was Nashville defeating Orlando 62-32 was your score in that one. In a game that was played last night, but it was over before it really began. It was 4-1 as the Portland Timbers run it up on the NSC Boys in Gold out on the West Coast. And again, Nashville was down 4-0, but they did get a late goal, make it 4-1 to cap this weekend's results.
Monday schedule. Braves at Diamondbacks, 8:40 first pitch. You can see it on the MLB Network as well as on Bally Sports South. That is your rundown. Again, we're in the doldrums. Your top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and get through there for their delicious daily deli lunch items that are available until 6 o'clock, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And as Wade alluded, Portland did not take long to put this one away last night out on the West Coast, downing the Nashville Soccer Club 4-1. It was 4-1 less than 30 minutes into the matchup. I'm sorry, it was 4-0 less than 30 minutes into the matchup. Nashville finally scored with 8 minutes to go, got a Sam Surridge goal off of a Shaq Moore assist. And welcome back, Shaq Moore, who had been with Team USA This was his first game back since things went south for the USMNT in Copa America. So, but I don't know. Did Shaq bring it with him, Wade?
I don't know about that. We kind of talked about it last week. The schedule was set up kind of gross for Nashville, and they didn't play. It kind of got, I'm not going to say they got out and out robbed, but man, they were on the wrong end of some rough calls in the loss to Columbus before, when we went to break there. And then going to Portland, that's always a tough place to play. And even as talented as Nashville is, and as many times we've seen them kind of pick themselves up off the mat and rally for a result on the road, didn't feel great. Thought they'd certainly be more competitive than this. I was weary-eyed. I got a text from Mo last night, and he said, man, this thing is already pretty much over. And I was like, wait a second, what are we talking about here? And I had to pull up the score. I said, oh, my goodness, yeah, this thing is over. It wasn't just like it was barely over. It was 4-0. Portland is good, though. Play well at home. Would have hoped for a more inspired effort from Nashville, but kind of just one of those kind of going through the motions is the optimistic approach that I'm going to take here, and hopefully they get things kind of back on track here in the next couple of days.
You know, you mentioned that 2-0 loss last week, midweek loss up at Columbus. This is the third straight loss for NSC, going back to that 2-1 loss to Miami at Geodis Park. This game last night was the second in, as you said, a gross stretch of the schedule for the boys. They are playing, what, 4 of 5? 4 of 5 on the road. They continue on the 13th at DC. They come back and take on Orlando on the 17th, and then they go to Philadelphia on the 20th. So tough stretch of the schedule for NSC. And, you know, as you said, Wade, we've seen them kind of pick up a favorable result away from Geodis from time to time, and it would be good if they could get one of those maybe in that Saturday matchup, maybe up at DC. They got a little time off between now and then, so maybe the fortunes can turn a little bit and get this 3-game skid snapped there. So
yeah, a chance to go on the road and get kind of get a bounce back. DC is at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, but then again, New England was at the bottom of the conference a couple weeks ago when they came in to Nashville and won. So nothing is a guarantee with this team right now. Only thing I can maybe chalk it up to, Mo, is, you know, everybody was so excited about the hire of BJ Callahan last week. You got to wonder if maybe the players are like, all right, well, we got a couple matches. Yeah, it'd be nice to go out and get some wins, but we know that we're not playing for Muntali for very much longer in a head coaching capacity. You know, you got to maybe wonder just kind of where their headspace is right now, as they're kind of already looking ahead in some regards. That's kind of what I'm curious about.
It's kind of a tough transition, you would think, because Callahan isn't going to take this team over until that League's Cup matchup on July 31st against Mazatlan. There we go. At Geodis. So they've got 11 days off after Philadelphia before that League's Cup matchup, and I guess they felt like that would be a good time to kind of ingrain Callahan into the situation and get these guys used to a new coach and that kind of thing. But at the same time, like you said, Muntali is kind of in that lame duck role, even more so, considering that his replacement has been named. I mean, nobody thought that he was going to be the guy anyway, but now the new guy is in place, but not on the sideline. And again, that's got to be a really odd dynamic there.
Yeah, just kind of hold down the fort as best you can. And again, a tough one. If they lose to DC on the road, you know, then I really might kind of have some doubts and some worries and some question marks. But tough place to play. The crazy thing too is, Mo, remember just a couple years ago, they were still in the Western Conference, and they were making trips like this all the time. LA, Utah, Colorado, Portland, Vancouver. I mean, their travel was crazy. So another, you know, small silver lining is, you know, it was an out of conference game, which they all count obviously towards your points, but maybe not a team you're as familiar with. But if they lose, to DC, then I'll kind of be a little more concerned. But still, not a great effort last night. That was putrid. Closer than it was to perfection for sure.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, again, when you're down 4-0, 30 minutes into a 90-minute match, woof, as I think was what I texted to you. Woof.
Yeah, it was not good. That's what. Yeah, we're not going to watch that game film again, right? You hear that one a lot.
Yeah, you just kind of burn that one or delete it or whatever it is that happens these days. The Predators will be watching their game film from their Future Stars game finale that took place Saturday out at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. Really encouraging performance out of the top pick, Igor Surin, with a pair of goals and an assist in their annual prospect exhibition game. And, for what it is, it's nice to get, for the Preds youngsters to give the home crowd something to get excited about. And apparently he did just that. Again, they had their prospects in for some time this past weekend and played that game out at Bellevue. And apparently Tennessee State coach Dwante Abercrombie was on hand for it. So nice for him.
Yeah, that could be your real highlight. I was about to ask, was this open to the public?
It was. Okay. And they had a nice little crowd, apparently.
Kind of a feel-good thing, right? Get a chance to let everybody kind of see some of the new guys and get their first look, I suppose, at what's maybe to come, what should be an exciting season this year.
Absolutely. And as you said, Abercrombie was kind of the highlight. He got a chance to, hang out with the coaching staff and the front office staff of the Predators and that kind of thing as the Tigers are getting set to hit the ice. Did you see their sweaters that came out here a couple of weeks ago, Wade?
Yeah, I saw a photo of Coach modeling them, and man, I'm still waiting on a link. I'd like a hookup from TSU, but I'm just waiting on a link so I can get my hands on one of these, because that's going to be real sharp. And really had no doubt that it was going to look good, but man, it does fit the bill, and I think they're going to be, if nothing else, most nights the best dressed team. How about that?
There we go. I would not hold my breath on the hookup, Wade, because 2 words: revenue stream.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And we don't got a Main Street patch on the side of that jersey just yet, I don't think so.
That would be something. We need to talk to some folks about that. Maybe we can make that happen. Yeah. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, we will be speaking with Nashville Cats coach Dean COKINOS as he prepares his team for the second round of the Arena Football League playoffs. Stay tuned after this break.
Bluegrass Auction Associates is hosting another estate auction in White House, Tennessee on Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. Join Bluegrass as they sell the Judy Matthews Honeycutt Estate, conveniently located in the scenic Orchard Park subdivision. This beautiful estate includes both real estate and personal property, so everything must go. Everything will be sold on-site and in person, and a 10% buyer's premium is added to the final bid. So bid with confidence with Bluegrass Auction Associates, committed to excellence.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Welcome back to the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely, as we come to you from the Lee Company studios of our homes. And we are now joined by a victorious Nashville Cats coach, Dean COKINOS, whose team came off of a 3-week layoff to go to Orlando and down the Predators 62-32 on Friday night to open playoff action. Coach, appreciate you taking some time with us because I know that you are game planning for another playoff game.
Yeah, we are. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, good to see your faces again.
Good to see you as well. Again, congrats. How concerned were you going into that game just from the standpoint that you had not played in 3 weeks?
Well, that's a first for us. For me personally, it was quite a long bye. So it was almost a month in between games when you get down to getting on the field and playing. So it wasn't too big of a concern. We got our quarterback that we targeted all year. Finally got him in here for that last game in Billings, and it was good for him to catch up a little bit with the other guys in our offense. Made some changes here and there, and he got some of the injured guys healed up a little bit. So it was a little concerning how we'd come out, but we came out pretty fast and furious, so it worked out well for us.
That's a really good team that you beat. Was it as simple as you getting your quarterback?
Pretty much. Yeah, he makes us.
We'll talk
more.
About
He's a missing piece now. We've had a pretty good team all year, and we've got some really talented players. And but in this game, as you know, is way back when Andy Kelly was here throwing back in the late 90s for the Cats. Arena football is all about the quarterback, and we have the best guy in the league right now, so he makes us whole.
Talk a little bit more about Randy Hippard and what took so long to get him in here.
Well, he hadn't played in 5 years, so the league went away. He's getting up there in age. Took a little bit of convincing, and I think more about him. He's looking to the next phase of his life. He's starting to do these quarterback clinics and camps, and he wants to get into coaching. So for him, part of it's coming in, teaching these young guys. He's pretty much a player coach for us right now on the field. So he's getting his opportunity to get on the field, not just as a player, but letting him, run some meetings with the players, do some drills with the players, put together game plans with us. So I think for him, it's a next step to his career, an opportunity not only to play, but to get into coaching.
What do you like about him? I mean, obviously he threw for 7 touchdowns the other night. He threw for 6 in your regular season finale. You're getting him ingrained, but what is it that makes him, the best quarterback in the AFL right now?
Well, he's a really experienced guy. You go back, you go through his history, but he gets the ball out fast in this game. The ball's got to come out. He makes fast decisions. Is nothing he hasn't seen on the field. And he's tough. I mean, he's a coach on the field. I just think his ability to get the ball fast and be an accurate thrower and a really big competitor. This guy wants to win at everything he does. So he's just a complete player. He's a really good quarterback, and I played many games against him. Through a 10-year span, and he was tough to play against. Man, he'll keep you up at night because he's going to score when he has the ball. He's going to score. So fortunately, he's with us now.
Yeah, certainly rather have him in your uniform than anybody else's, I would imagine. And Dean, as you come off that long layoff, and we've talked a lot about the quarterback position, who else maybe can we shout out that had a great game in your mind, whether that was expected or did somebody kind of use that little break to kind of break out, if you will?
Well, I think, we built this team around, as we started outside of a quarterback, which was our goal all year to get a top-rated quarterback, but pass rush is key. So, back when I started my AFL career here with the Cats with Pat Sperduto, and Pat was a big believer in pass rush, and, my teams through the years, 2 championships I won previously, we always had a phenomenal pass rush, and this guy showed up to play Friday in Orlando. The defense played great. I mean, I think we had 6 or 7 stops, and it was a complete team. Special teams, we won that battle. I think going in, the first time we played them, they beat us up pretty good on special teams, and that was a goal too, is to win special teams battle. And we really just won all 3 phases. It was a complete team effort. The quarterback obviously makes a big difference, but the guys, all 21 guys, showed up to play.
Absolutely, and I'm thinking. Sorry, Mo, real quick. I did want to get back. I did want to get back to Randy. I had my mic muted earlier. I apologize for that, but I'm having this visualization. Is it kind of like he has such a pedigree and a cachet that when he comes in, everybody in the huddle is like, "All right, that's our guy." Or did some of did the chemistry with bringing him in, as far as was there any coaxing that had to be done with some of the other guys?
Not at all. He came in. Yeah. We instantly handed him the keys. Say, here you go, man. You're driving this vehicle. So, no, he was accepted. Everybody knew who he was here. We had a few guys that played with him in previous years. No, he stepped right in, and we've known each other a long time. And he knew a few of these players, and he's obviously well known throughout the Arena Football League. But he was very welcomed. Addition to our team when he got here.
I do also love the rare Arena Football defensive shout out that you gave just a little bit ago. We talked so much about the offense, but it's nice to know that the defense seems like they played very well. I mean, that's an impressive effort, right?
3 turnovers, I think with 3 or 4 sacks. I think we had 4 stops on downs. That's unheard of. It was complete domination on defense too. So.
Well, and Dean, when you hold a team to 32 points in this league, you feel pretty good about your chances to get out with a win, don't you?
Yeah, usually you go. So the rule is one or two stops you win the game, right? So you get, and I believe one of those it was a late touchdown too. So in my mind, it was 26. So the score I recall is 26, but on the scoreboard it's 32, right? So when you can hold them under 30 in arena football, you should be winning a lot of football games.
Dean COKINOS, the Nashville Cats coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, as they get set for a Saturday contest back out to Billings. You get to go to Billings, Montana twice in 1 year, Dean. I mean, I guess you realize just how lucky you are, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah. So if I'm going out there for a vacation, it's great. It's beautiful. Everything as advertised. Wow, that was a bit of a trip now. That first time we went out there. So hopefully we're going to clean up the travel arrangements a little bit cleaner this time. It was a long trip for us, the players. So being on the road now back to back, we'll plan accordingly this time. But no, we're happy to keep playing. We're happy to be in round 2 semifinals and going back to Billings.
Going back to Billings, which is going back to Hippert's first start. You got a last-second touchdown to beat them 57-54 out there. I guess the second Saturday in June. I mean, what do you have to do to replicate that this week?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. They're a really good football team. They play solid offense. They manage the game. They can, they're a little bit unique for arena football. They run the ball a lot more, and kind of like when we had Dan Alexander here many years ago, we set all those records for rushing and touchdowns running. They run the ball a lot more and screen a lot more than you see in arena football, and they're pretty solid on defense. So they're a complete team. Nothing stands out. They won a lot of football games. For us, it's the same thing. We just got to, pressure their quarterback and win the special teams battle. And just, Randy and the offense just need to manage the ball and just play arena football. 60 minutes. We expect it to go all the way to 60 minutes this week. And hopefully we have the ball with a chance to win.
Obviously this first year of this Nashville Cats iteration has had its challenges. Again, the 3-week layoff right there at the end of the season before you go into the playoffs, some teams not being able to complete the season, that kind of thing. To play your way into the league semifinals and staring at a potential spot in Arena Bowl 33 here.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the significance of that for this franchise in its first year back on the field?
Yeah, all of the above. I think the first thing is, getting into this, it was a startup team organization, even though it's the Cats, and the league itself it's not, there's no carryover from the old AFL. Everything's ground floor, and there was some hiccups at the league level. Unfortunately, the reason why we are all here is because of Jeff Fisher, right? So Coach stepped in outside of the realm of being the president of the Cats. He stepped into the league levels and took over the reins of the commissioner. And having Jeff do that has really stabilized the league. And I think for us, early on, we took a lot of hits here in Nashville for the benefit of the league, and we were all in to do this. I came in with Coach, and a lot of guys came in with me because of Coach, and it just went up the ladder. And we were all here to not only build the Cats, but help Jeff build this league. So I think it probably hurt us a little bit early on the field. A lot of things we were doing to stabilize the league. We have the most experience on and off the field, so it was just natural for us to take a lead role in helping build this league up. And I think we're in a good place right now. He's done a phenomenal job. You mentioned some teams dropped out early on, but that when you're in a new league, that kind of goes with the territory, and you want the week to get out early. And the remaining teams seem to be strong. Jeff at the top, he's bringing some really high-level people at the league level. We're good here with our operations here. We're solid. I think the league now, we get through these next 2 weeks, there's a platform to build off. So it's exciting. But more importantly, it's exciting for the Cats. So we want to be in that final game and hopefully get that first ring here for arena football, which Cats had many opportunities in the past. Hopefully we can be the first ones to bring home a ring.
That semifinal game on Saturday kicks off at 9 Nashville time. You can see it on CBS Sports Network. Are you going to be mic'd up for that one? Do you know yet?
I hope not.
We're hoping so, Coach. Absolutely. Hey, you mentioned Jeff Fisher too, by the way. It's well known he loves the state of Montana. There wasn't anything dicey that went into drawing up these brackets, so he maybe could get an extra trip out there or anything, right?
You might have to ask him. I think he's up there now waiting for us. So
there we go.
He may not want to travel. He said, "Well, tell the team to come to me." So, he's got a spot up there, but I think the scheduling I think at the end of the day, it's the best thing for the league. I think the way it's worked out. So we're all about it.
And it seems like he's done a fantastic job, kind of like you've mentioned a moment ago.
Dean, I apologize. Who's on the other side of the bracket from y'all? Who's in that other semifinal matchup?
So over the other side would be Albany and Salina, Kansas.
Okay.
Albany,
and that one's at Albany, I assume.
That one's at Albany. Yeah. We'll play at Billings, and then Albany's hosting Salina.
Okay. And then the Arena Bowl will take place next weekend in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Yeah. I think it's one of those Malls of America type deals. I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it's a pretty neat place. Yeah.
Well, hopefully in a couple of weeks you can come back and give us a scouting report on it. So, hey, Dean COKINOS, Nashville Cats coach. The Cats will be traveling out to Billings, Montana taking on the Billings Outlaws this weekend in the AFL semifinals. Dean, we appreciate you taking some time because, like I said, I know you're in the middle of some game planning, so we'll let you get back to it. But,
thanks, guys. No, I appreciate it. Good to talk to you guys again.
Absolutely. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we'll talk a little baseball. Stay tuned after this break.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Okay, so we got a clerical error here. This took place on July 8th, but it did not take place in 1978. And I'll get that for you by the end of the segment. But with consecutive seventh inning home runs from Eddie Matthews, Hank Aaron, Joe Adcock, and Frank Thomas, Milwaukee threatened to rally from an 8-run deficit before eventually falling 10-8 at Cincinnati. The flurry marked the first time in Major League history that a team had hit homers in 4 consecutive plate appearances. Matthews homered again in the 8th inning, giving the Braves 6 bombs in the loss, including one by Warren Spahn in the 3rd. That was kind of this day in Braves history. Hang on just a second. We're going to get this right.
We got the date right. Is that correct?
The date is right. the year is wrong.
We'll do some fact finding.
Yeah, it won't take long. But it was just longer than I had before I read it. So 1961. There we go. Because we had another This Day in Braves History queued up, and then the facts did not check out. So we checked off 4 home runs in 4 at-bats by 4 different guys. Little power surge for the Braves yesterday in that 6-0 win over Philadelphia. Their second in as many days against the Phillies following Saturday's 5-1 loss. Again, there were four home runs hit in that one as well. Not 4 consecutive, but 4. One by Adam Duvall to get things started. One by Jarrett Kelenic, and Matt Olson and Eli White got into the act. But 3 of those home runs took place in the second inning to get Atlanta off to a flying start there. And again, Braves take 2 of 3 from Philadelphia, outscore Philadelphia 14-1 in the final 20 innings of the series after Philadelphia got up 8-3 in Friday's eventual 8-6 win. So you get 2 out of 3 from the NL East leaders, and I'm sure that they will tell you, well, Harper and Schwarber didn't play. Well, neither did Acuna or Strider, so save me that.
Yeah, get the if nothing else, good to get the rivalry going. I did see a little banter going on the socials.
Just a little,
just a little. I didn't get to check my phone a ton, but yeah, there's a little going on. I mean, especially for a mid-July series, this one, it seemed like it had a little more oomph than you might expect between the 2 squads there.
Well, see, here's the deal. Banter between the Phillies fan base and the Braves fan base is a no-win banter situation really for the Braves, because even if the Braves come out ahead, it's like, well, they're just going to talk about what they've done the last 2 Octobers, and there's really no getting around it. So,
yeah, that's tough to come back from.
It really is.
Tough to stack up against.
And if you are a Braves fan, you just got to realize, hey, we just got to ride that out. We got to wear that. But, at least when we did get to the World Series, we won it. So they don't want to hear that, though. So it's whatever took place this weekend really is somewhat meaningless when you consider who was missing for both teams, that it is July, that in all likelihood they're going to see each other again when there's a little bit more on the line than what there was this weekend. And until the Braves can get them solved, then they're going to continue to talk, deservedly so.
Yeah, and we'll obviously be seeing a lot more between these 2 teams coming down the stretch here. So this is kind of just the warm up, really.
The appetizer.
Yeah, we're just getting started here. We got quite a few more tangles to get into as we progress.
No doubt. One of the biggest things really that happened over this weekend, though, besides Ronaldo Lopez and Chris Sale continuing to pitch lights out, was Bobby Cox was at the ballpark on Saturday night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. First time in quite some time since suffering a pretty significant stroke a few years ago. So it was very inspiring, I think. There is a picture of him in the clubhouse with the team gathered around him, and it's really cool. But for what he's meant to this franchise, it's just really nice whenever he can get back out there. And he was out there Saturday night and, sat in a suite, I guess, and waved to the crowd and got a long-standing ovation and got all of the reception that he, deserved to get. It was only the second time he had been to a Braves game at Truist Park since his stroke in April of 2019. He came out during the pandemic, when obviously everything was empty, but it was obviously quite a big deal. And as fate would have it, the Braves took care of business in that one with a 5-1 win on Saturday night before again getting their 11th shutout of the season with yesterday's 6-0 victory. I'm sorry, Sale did not pitch this weekend. What did Sale? It was Lopez yesterday. It was Spencer Schwellenbach that pitched in that Saturday win and went 6 innings, really strong, gave up 1 run, picked up his second win since coming up from AA Mississippi. So that was nice to see. And again, with or without Bryce Harper, with or without Kyle Schwarber, that is a loaded Phillies lineup over there, and they do still lead the East by a considerable margin. But for Schwellenbach to go out and throw the way he did against them on Saturday, and for the Braves to get 2 of 3, given where they are, because not only are they missing,
win's a good win, right?
And yeah, I mean, not only are they missing Acuna and Strider, they're also missing Michael Harris. And again, they are still not clicking on all cylinders offensively. So big win. They head west now, taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks for 3, starting at 8:40 tonight. It is Chris Sale on the bump for the Braves in that one, 11-3 with a 2.71 ERA. Yulber Diaz makes his major league debut for the Snakes in this one. So, you know, you hope that maybe the Braves can kind of keep up some of that offensive momentum against a guy that is making his first major league start. Now, what tends to happen from time to time with the Braves is when they get somebody new, it's almost like he pulls the wool over their eyes or something. So we will see what happens. We'll try to catch a nap between 4 and 8 and get ready for that one. But should be a good one. Again, the Arizona Diamondbacks, quiet as it's kept, the defending National League champions. So,
yeah, and they're a dangerous team, right? Only seen a little bit of them this year, but seems like their offense can definitely produce some runs. So, be nice to see Atlanta potentially match that if it's necessary tonight.
They are for sure a team to look out for. They are right at 500, 45 and 45, 9.5 back of the Dodgers, 2 back of the Padres in the NL West. But I think that's probably more of an indication of where the Dodgers are than where the D-backs are.
Yeah, Christian Walker's been, I know for sure, been tearing it up. Feels like the few times I've tuned in, the scores are pretty eye-popping for them. So they put up some big numbers this year. So we'll see what kind of game we get tonight, whether it's a low scoring or if they kind of put some runs out there for both teams. We'll see.
Like your guys did Friday night.
Yeah. Wow. Big explosion offensively for Houston. They're slowly starting to come around on offense. A couple weeks ago, probably about 10 days ago, I guess it was against Baltimore, put up the most runs they'd put up in all season long. And I think they had 9 in 1 inning or something crazy. So they are slowly kind of starting to find their offensive legs, which, considering the injuries that they've had to their pitching staff, they better find them or else they're probably going to be in trouble. But when you think of the teams that they've had, you think of 1 or 2 maybe key pitchers, but really you kind of think about the offense, right?
Yeah. And you know, this has been a team that's been able to score some runs pretty consistently throughout this recent stretch that they have been on, this stretch of success that they have had. And again, 13-12 win on Friday over Minnesota, you know, certainly shows what they're capable of offensively. So you got to like that, even with, again, some of the injuries that they've been dealing with, both offensively as well as on the mound.
Absolutely. And just look this up. They're third now in the American League in terms of runs scored, which is crazy to think about because it feels like they haven't scored hardly any runs all season. But they sit there in the third, trailing just right behind the Orioles and the Yankees. And
That's
the
not bad
Guardians-
company to be in.
Yeah, and the Guardians are right there too. Obviously, one of the hottest teams in the game. So, offense is starting to click. What is this? Show MLB showing plus 37 in run differential now, which blew my mind. Feels like they should be about minus 37, but as many games as they've gotten blown out this year. So yeah, starting to find their legs a little bit here as we get closer and closer to the All-Star break.
We are always our own worst critics, so I get exactly where you're coming from as far as that goes.
See, this is what they're going to do. This is what I was afraid of, Mo. I was hoping they would just, if they're going to stink, just go ahead and stink. But now they're kind of slowly reeling me in, and I'll keep my eyes on them, and then maybe it won't pan out, or maybe they go on just a run for the ages. The good news is the AL West is not great, and so if there's ever going to be a year to have a horrible start and then find it, somebody's got to win it type situation, this could be the year.
The good news is they're in the AL West, where they are only 2 games back of Seattle. The better news is they begin a series tomorrow against the visiting Marlins.
Marlins to kick things off this week, and then they got a big one versus the Rangers right before the All-Star break. So, yeah, in a perfect world, obviously, maybe take all 3 from Miami there and then roll into a big rivalry showdown this weekend versus Texas.
And I'm going to tell you, that's going to be a big series, that Texas series, because there is talk amongst Major League Baseball experts that Texas may be in sell mode.
There's 6 games under 500 right now. Yeah, you kind of start to wonder, right? I mean, they start moving some assets.
That's tough for the, defending World Series champions to be in that spot before the midway point or right at the midway point of the season after you won the World Series. That's certainly not where they expected to be, but then this isn't where Houston expected to be either. So, yeah, that one shapes up as a big series going into the break, like you said. And if you can pick up a few here against Miami before that, just kind of continue that momentum a little bit, you might be putting yourself in a pretty good spot here coming out of the All-Star break. And again, not only putting yourself in a pretty good spot, but kind of weakening one of your bigger rivals.
Yeah, send them into sell mode perhaps a little earlier. Mo, while we're talking about the Marlins, my curiosity was piqued. Ryan Weathers, we've talked about him. Not great for the former Loretto standout. He's now been moved to the 60-day IL with that finger injury.
When was that? That must have been here in the last couple of days, I guess.
Yeah, yesterday it looks like that move was announced. So Weathers, because I was wondering, maybe my brain started wondering, maybe he'll pitch against Houston if he's getting ready to come back. But looks like they're moving him to the 60-day IL, and we certainly continue to hope he recovers as quick as possible. But looks like there's a little more to it than what we initially thought.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. The 60-day, because he had been on the 15, went on the 15 on June 8th. So they extended it out. So it's going to be mid-August probably before at the earliest before we see him back. And man, that's unfortunate because he was really doing some good stuff.
Yeah, so. having a great start to the year. And did we not mention that I think he had a career high or at least double-digit strikeouts, and then it feels like his very next start was the one he got injured.
Yeah. He had a couple. I think he had a 10 and a 12 maybe in a couple of his later starts. So yeah, you hate to see that because he was really starting to get his feet up under him in his, I guess, first full season since he was traded to the Marlins from San Diego, and starting to really get comfortable, and this happened. So you wish him the best, and I imagine he'll be getting back to Loretto for a few days next week during the break. So little R&R, especially with what he's got going on, will certainly come in handy, I would imagine. Somebody else getting some R&R. Apparently, Colton Brewer did not see Bull Durham. Oh, wait a minute. I'm wrong. He did right. Cubs reliever Colton Brewer breaks non-pitching hand from punching wall after bad outing versus Angels.
Yeah,
placed on the 60-day IL yesterday.
At least protect the moneymaker.
There you go.
But not a great move, not a great look either way, but could have been worse, it sounds like, for sure.
Could have been way worse. Yeah. Broke his left non-pitching hand following a rough outing. First reliever out of the bullpen after Kyle Hendricks went out of Saturday's game after 2 innings. Gave up 3 runs, only 1 earned. Okay, so if a pitcher makes an error, should those runs be earned or unearned?
They technically count as unearned, right?
They do. But
yeah, I've always, I mean, it kind of goes in this is why baseball is weird, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of goes in the flies in your face of conventional wisdom.
I mean, you shouldn't be able to benefit from your error. He committed a throwing error on a potential 1-6-3 double play ball and eventually only retired 2 of 8 batters he faced, which I guess would make you mad enough to want to punch something. But with that, he's on the 60-day DL.
Oof, man.
As times get tougher for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Worst record in the National League at 41-49. Oof. And they're still ahead of the White Sox, but there is some bad baseball being played in Chicago, apparently.
Yep, and I tell you, Mo, we had hoped to go to a Cubs game this weekend, but all the games
probably just as well that you didn't.
Were early, yeah. And as bad as they've been, I was hoping maybe some cheap tickets, but we got so desperate. I even Googled to see if the White Sox were in town, and mercifully they were on the road. So
there you go.
Was not subjected to any Chicago baseball this weekend because you're right, it is not a pretty time.
It's
to
not.
be a fan of either of those teams.
Yeah. That brings us close to the top of the hour and to a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we will continue baseball talk as we turn our attention to the upcoming All-Star game out in Arlington next Tuesday, because teams are virtually finalized. We know who reserves are. We know who some of the home run derby participants are. And apparently we know how folks feel about the uniforms. So stay tuned after this break as we discuss all of that and then some.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And this is the second hour of the Monday Mirror as we look back at what took place over this past weekend and get you ready for the upcoming week. And among the things that took place this past weekend were rosters for the All-Star game have been announced, pending injury replacements and that type thing. So, and apparently there's some breaking news. We mentioned that some of the home run derby participants have been announced.
Mm-hmm.
As of showtime, we had Bobby Witt Jr., Peter Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, and Alec Boehm confirmed. Well, they are now joined by the Big Bear. Marcell Ozuna will also be participating in the home run derby. And this is interesting because David O'Brien of The Athletic did an article a few days ago that I've not had a chance to look at yet, but I saw the headline where Ozuna went into a little bit of a slump because he was trying to hit home runs. He was trying to get to 30 before the break, didn't quite get there. Got into a better headspace and, hit a couple over the weekend. But that's an interesting kind of sidelight to this, I think, as he announces that he will be participating in the home run derby. This will be his first, as he enjoys his second All-Star game selection, along with, as we mentioned, Chris Sale and Ronaldo Lopez. So I hope that this doesn't have any adverse effect once we come back from the break. But Ozuna is fourth in Major League Baseball with 20 homers this year. Since May 1st, 2023, only Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge have hit more home runs than Ozuna's 61. Ohtani has 65. Judge has 63. So, he's as good a candidate to participate in the Derby as anybody. But at the same time, I get concerned when it's one of our guys.
Well, you said he wanted to get to 30, didn't get there, and he's like, I'm going to get 30. I'm going to get there one way or the other. And
whether they count or not, I'm going to get 30 home runs. Yeah,
I'm going to hit me some home runs. But I agree with you. And this is the one weird thing, right? And, it's kind of like the NBA with the slam dunk contest a little bit. You kind of wonder where the guys are with their headspace. And obviously, you certainly – the worst case, you're thinking hopefully no injuries. But, it's, in this event in particular, you just always hear, or it feels like you always hear about, guys swinging themselves in or out of a hot streak, trying to hit too many home runs. And now the dude can bop. There's no doubt about it.
Now, to be completely fair, I do feel like the home run derby a couple of years ago really unlocked something for Albert Pujols in his final year. because you remember the tear that he went on after the All-Star break. So, maybe it can break something loose. But again, Ozuna's got 23 homers. He's in a good spot right now. I don't need too much to change for him.
Yeah,
So.
and I'm with you there. The chatter always, and it's probably more of managers that you kind of hear say that stuff, whether they say it on the record or not, or coaching staffs are worried about their guys. But man, it's an event for the fans. If you should be, I'll tell you what, Major League Baseball is wanting the biggest guys to be in this, and what the managers say or do, throw that to the side, because this is supposed to be a fun event. MLB wants the eyeballs, and even though they've made some tweaks over the years, the Home Run Derby is still that one event that kind of gets you excited, no matter if you've been tuning into baseball or not all season.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Amen.
I think guys do too, by the way. I don't think that's a gender-specific thing at all. I'm just kind of referencing an old commercial. Google it. Again, Ozuna, Sale, and Lopez representing the Atlanta Braves in next Tuesday's game out in Arlington. Houston with a couple of starters. Second baseman Jose Altuve and designated hitter Yordan Alvarez will both be starting for the American League in this matchup. And conspicuously absent, Ronel Blanco.
Yeah, I mean, I would, if you got to pick, obviously it's a bit weird with pitchers and hitters being kind of two different rosters, so to speak. But as far as who's worthy of a bid, of all those three, Blanco is the one that's the most worthy in my mind. And unfortunately, he was left off. And this is kind of what we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, where you got the fan vote element that comes in. Altuve is such a lovable guy and has got such a fan following that even in years where you're not maybe having your best year, you're still going to get a lot of love, obviously.
Absolutely. Kyle Tucker has also been named to the game, but with his injury situation, he is not expected to play.
He's been the offensive MVP for sure for Houston.
979 OPS, 19 homers. That's solid. So,
and when Altuve's been dinged up or struggling throughout the early part of the year, when half the team has been struggling or dinged up early part of the year, Tucker was the guy that was keeping them in games or winning games for them early. So it does feel a little rather unfortunate that he won't get to kind of fully bear that out, but it was good that he was at least given a hat tip, as it were.
Absolutely. As of right now, you've got 32 players who will be making their All-Star game debuts this season. Among them is former Tennessee pitcher Garrett Crochet of the Chicago White Sox and Paul Skeens of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, I've seen it in enough places and from enough people that I feel like it needs addressing. Paul Skeens should not start for the National League in the All-Star game.
Is that going around?
There are those, including, quote, knowledgeable Major League Baseball people, one of whom actually presented me my Tennessee Sports Writers of the Year award at the National Sports Media Association Awards banquet a couple of years. Jeff Passan of ESPN is among those on the Skeens to start train. And I mean, the guy has had a nice couple of months. But 2 months ago, he was in Indianapolis in AAA. And obviously I feel like Sale should get the start at 11-3 with an ERA of below 3. But if it's not him, it certainly doesn't need to be somebody who has been in the majors for less than 2 months. Paul Skeens is going to start an All-Star game. Paul Skeens is going to start some All-Star games. Paul Skeens doesn't need to start this All-Star game.
This is decided by whom? I forget. Is it up to the manager? How does this work?
Yes. Well, in conjunction with, in the pitcher's case, their managers, because they'll kind of say, hey, this guy, stay away from him. This guy's available. This guy don't go too deep. Starters probably, other than the starter, probably won't go more than an inning anyway. But, if a guy threw on Saturday or Sunday, he's probably going to be off limits for Tuesday night's game. So, I guess as much as anything, it's going to come down to when Skeens' last start going into the All-Star game would be. But I mean, I cannot imagine that is something that is a realistic opportunity. Again, he's had a fantastic part.
CBS with an article. Who should start the game? Paul Skeens. So yeah, I wasn't hearing this, but seems like it is picking up some steam. I will say this is a pretty cool thing to think about. If you got Altuve at the leadoff and then somebody like Soto right before you get to Judge, I mean, I'm kind of getting almost goosebumps thinking about, like Pedro with 5 Ks in 2 innings, back in 99 type vibes if Skeens comes out and just mows those guys down. But, yeah, you're right. There certainly are other candidates that are worthy. And that's why I was curious who kind of makes that call. Because if MLB's got anything to do with it, I would not be shocked if that is. How about, I saw this earlier too. First ever pitcher taken #1 overall and then makes the All-Star team. The list includes Paul Skeens, and that's it.
Wow.
He is the list.
I am him, said Skeens. One of one, as the kids like to say. That's pretty impressive. The only pitcher taken #1 to make an All-Star.
Yep, in the next season or in
his
season. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. But to your point though, and this is something that someone mentioned in a Facebook conversation I was in, that they like the idea of Skeens going up against the best healthy hitters in the AL. And if you're not starting, then there's the risk that you're not going to see, Soto, Altuve, some of those guys. So, I mean, I get it from that standpoint. You want to see that matchup, but I think I want to see the guys who have had the best first halves of the season, have that performance, that whole first half rewarded, I guess. So, but I guess it's an interesting discussion. And I think when you frame it the way you framed it, it's a little more palatable of a thought that, to see him in Soto and to see him in, Jose Ramirez or Judge or whoever else is in the top of that order for the AL. So
yeah, you got him versus Judge. I mean, that is must-see television right there.
Yeah. Sort of like him and Ohtani a couple of weeks ago in a regular season game. So yeah, it's I can see it.
Yeah, you're right. The pitching matchups this week, I guess, will kind of give us a little indication of what's to come.
Yeah, I would think so, because again, we'll get a clearer picture of who is actually available to throw and who is not. So yeah, that'll bear watching for sure. And maybe Jeff Passan and CBS Sports are onto something. We'll see. Locally, there's always a Nashville connection. The Dodgers, Mookie Betts, and the Pirates, Brian Reynolds, have both been named to the National League team. I don't know what Mookie's situation is with regards to his injury, whether or not he's going to be able to go. Reynolds is healthy and making his second appearance in as many seasons, the former Brentwood High, former Vanderbilt standout. So congrats to him. You would think if Mookie had been healthy, he might have been a starter, but this will be his 8th All-Star game. Broke his hand on June 16th. Again, don't know if he's going to be back. You wouldn't think. That's awfully quick.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking he was going to be out, kind of like we mentioned with Weathers, until like
Couple
August
months.
almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that could very well be. Ellie De La Cruz getting his first start. Also, his first All-Star appearance. Also, CJ Abrams. Shortstop is kind of loaded, man.
Yeah, that'll be fun. No matter what shape, form, or fashion De La Cruz is in the game, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that dude. Dynamic, electric, all those other icks. He is them, man. So looking forward to this. I may actually watch this game, and I'm not going out of my way to watch the All-Star game in a pretty good while, to be honest. But with some of these young guys, again, Bobby Witt on the American League team as well. And again, whenever Skeens gets in the game, that's going to be worth watching. So we mentioned Ryan Weathers, who we were pitching as a National League All-Star. Well, Tanner Scott got the Marlins' singular berth on the National League roster.
Yeah, not a shock. I only got one, right?
No, not a shock at all that they only got one. And with Weathers out, not really a shock that it was Tanner Scott. I mean, though they were about the only two even in shouting distance of deserving a spot. So that's what we got there. Uniforms for the All-Star game have been making the rounds on the socials, and they've not been received very well. I don't hate them.
I was going to say, I saw the chatter, and I kind of get it, but I don't mind these.
I don't hate them. I mean, I like the lettering. The more I look at them, the more I like them, actually. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it has kind of become in vogue to bash uniforms. Now, I will say this. I do prefer when whichever league is hosting the game wears their home jerseys and whichever team, the other team wearing their road uniforms of their teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my preference, but I guess I'm a little old school like that. But I don't hate these.
Yeah, these aren't bad. I don't. I'm like you. I didn't really get the bashing. Chalk that up to, well, it's early July. We gotta talk about something. I gotta find something to nitpick. So yeah, these are okay.
I've seen worse.
Seen worse, and keep the Fanatics jokes to the side, I guess. But these are pretty sharp in my mind for an exhibition game. I mean,
yes.
I like the hats too. I think those are pretty snazzy. So I can vibe with these.
I don't hate them. That's about as good as it gets these days.
Yeah, that's true. We're a little low bar these days, but we'll take it.
Absolutely. Hey, when we continue after this break from the Lee Company Studios on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, we'll be talking a little WNBA with Willie Ramirez. Stay tuned when we come back.
Bluegrass Auction Associates is hosting another estate auction in White House, Tennessee on Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. Join Bluegrass as they sell the Judy Matthews Honeycutt Estate, conveniently located in the scenic Orchard Park subdivision. This beautiful estate includes both real estate and personal property, so everything must go. Everything will be sold on-site and in person, and a 10% buyer's premium is added to the final bid. So bid with confidence with Bluegrass Auction Associates, committed to excellence.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see. whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine in the Northeast. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
We continue the Monday Mirror here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely, and joining us now from 120-degree Las Vegas, Willie G. Ramirez, who is indoors, and that's probably a good place to be.
It is. I appreciate it, guys. And what's funny is I saw all these posts yesterday from people in town while I was at the Aces game, and they were sharing the news stations or the weather service as the temperatures were climbing every time the record was broken. And they were making a big – now, it's one thing if you want to just post, hey, we set a new record. But when they're quoting the posts, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and they're saying, you know, man, this Vegas heat, or hashtag Vegas is too hot, so on and so forth. I'm thinking to myself, you know, I really don't think that there's much of a difference from 116 to 120. I didn't feel a difference. Of course, I'm suited up to every event I go. So when I walked out of Mandalay Bay yesterday, I felt the exact same heat that I felt the day before and the day before. And basically, since the heat has hit Las Vegas, I get it. It's hot. Yes, but let's not make that big of a deal about it. You live in Las Vegas, you come to it, just know that it's going to be hot.
You're talking to a couple of guys in the Nashville area, so we pretty well know whereof you speak, Willie. You know, it's hot.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
It's humid there, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing about Vegas, Phoenix, that kind of thing. It's a dry heat. Both my kids live out in the Phoenix area, and yeah, it's a dry heat. Yeah, it's still hot. I mean, I've not been there this time of year yet. I guess maybe I should just to get a feel for it. But you know, when I start seeing 116 or 120, like you said, ain't a whole lot of difference in them, but it's not something that's really beckoning me to come out there. I'll tell you who else is hot though. The Las Vegas Aces.
They are
winning
back.
Winning 7 of their last 8, falling in overtime on Friday night to the Sparks, but bouncing back with a big win against Dallas, literally a big win, 104-86 last night to get to 13-7. You know, is it as simple as just getting everybody healthy, Willie?
It was, and I'll be honest with you, I was telling people that, you know, when they were 6-6, I was telling everyone, hey, the league has caught up with them. The league has finally figured things out, and Chelsea Gray returning is not going to be that quick of a fix. I was not buying into that it was going to be that quick of a fix because I was saying one person can't fix the defense, but what she really has been, what she's done, because there was one game she had 4 points and 1 assist. What she's done is she's allowed Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young to return to their roles and never have to be concerned with picking up what Chelsea Gray had sort of, the absence had left, that what she vacated. She has allowed everybody to get back to their role on that team at any given moment, every given moment. And it sort of helped each one of those players thrive in what they're used to doing. So she has made a difference. She just in terms of the chemistry and how the team feels a little bit more comfortable. The players feel less pressure in terms of picking up the slack. Asia Wilson got emotional when I asked her a question not too long ago, and when they got their 6th loss, when they dropped to 6-6, and she had said that she felt that she needed to take accountability for the defensive end. And I asked her, Asia, at times we're watching the greatest player in the world. We see the things you're doing. We see deficiencies elsewhere. Why is it you've got to take accountability? And that's when she broke down on the dais, actually, the video that went viral.
Mm-hmm.
And
I didn't realize that was you. I should have known it was you, but I did not realize that was your question. Yeah.
So she got emotional, and she just said, because it starts with me, and I'm always going to, fall on that sword for my girls. So even Asia was feeling Chelsea Gray's absence in terms of maybe the leadership role and making sure people are in the right spots and, things that Chelsea does. So every little aspect of Chelsea Gray's game, the girls were trying to pick that up in some way, shape, or form. And now they don't have to because she's back. And that means that they can play cohesive basketball in their roles. And that's what we're seeing. As for the loss Friday, it was the 3rd game in 4 nights, the 2nd of a back-to-back after blowing out Washington. They fly to L.A. at midnight. And I just think that they caught them, dragging. I asked Becky about it yesterday. She said, no excuses. Becky Hammond said, there's no excuses. I don't care. They don't get a pass.
Yeah, just not letting them get away with anything, I suppose. And Willie, a couple of things I wanted to ask, but immediately we're talking about them being back, and we're talking about them playing at a high level. Obviously, the 34-6 from last year, that ship has kind of sailed. But can they get back to as dominant as they were last year, or are they playing as dominant in your mind as they were last year? And if not now, can they still turn that up a notch as the season continues?
Yeah, no, I 100% think so. I do my own power rankings every Monday. I release my WNBA rankings at WGRamirez.com, and I return them to number 1 this week. They are the number 1 team in the league. When you look across the board at how every team is playing, Connecticut finally has gotten back to what they were doing earlier this year. They went 3-0 last week. The Liberty split out their games last week, but there's no doubt about it that the team that's playing the best basketball right now is the Las Vegas Aces. And because what it's allowed them to do is, and they're healthy all around. Kirsten Bell is back, right? What that downtime did with Chelsea Gray and Kirsten Bell on the bench, it also allowed Kate Martin to sort of learn pressure situations and get in trying times. Sid Colson was being brought into the lineup quicker than she usually is. So now what you see is your starting lineup is what it was last year. And now Alicia Clark goes back to being the 6th player. And then you still have Kirsten Bell, and you have Kate Martin, and you have Sid Colson. So this team is so deep, and everybody's playing well. Kia Stokes was a last-minute scratch yesterday, but this team, fully healthy, is the best team in the WNBA. There's nobody that can stop them when they are playing full throttle and everything's on the line. And Asia Wilson, hands down, I've said this when I've visited your show before, she is the best player in the world, without a doubt. She's got the MVP. The MVP trophy's hers to lose. She's doing everything that she, anything that she sets out to do, her goal, whatever it may be, she's going to do everything she can to accomplish it, and she puts the team first, and that's the beauty of Asia Wilson.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about her and that kind of MVP. I mean, you can basically call the race right now the way that she's been playing, and I'm curious. We obviously knew that she was one of the top players in the game, in the world, but having to carry that extra load with the injury, did that turn a switch on? I mean, are we talking about a player that was already at such a high level? It just blows my mind when we see them dial it up another notch even more, because she's having, on pace for an all-time season.
she's on pace to having the greatest season in the history of the WNBA trajectory wise in terms of like analytics and when you break it down to what she's doing and the accomplishments and the franchise records from this to that. She's, you have to credit the work that she puts in during the off season. And not only that, but the use of the facility, the inclusion of everybody from 1 to 12 on that roster. I mean, Kelsey Plum has been in this franchise longer than anybody from when it was in San Antonio, right? Becky Hammond obviously was a player with San Antonio, but as far as the roster is concerned, but A'ja Wilson looks at Kate Martin or Megan Gustafson the same way that she's going to look at Kelsey Plum and Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young, her dogs, basically, her aces dogs, if you will. The Alicia Clark, right? The respect she deserves as a multi WNBA champion. But A'ja looks at the rookies the same way. And what that does is her off-season work, her in-season work, her training, her court work, her gym work, the stuff that she does in the lab during the offseason, that's just going to flow over to everybody on the team because they're all going to feel welcome to coming to A'ja when they need something. And that's what makes her so great. That's how she's dialed it up a notch. A'ja Wilson focuses in on something she wants to get better at. At the end of this season, win or lose the championship, she's going to focus in. This is what I need to do to get better for my team. This is what the team needs to do to get better. This is what I need from the players for the team to get better. It's always about the team. Then if you focus on your individual roles and what you need to get better at for the betterment of the team, then yourself, everything that you do for yourself is going to improve. And she already knows that. And she acknowledges that. That's how A'ja Wilson thinks. That's why she's, on pace to do what she's, is capable of doing. So, it's a credit to, her mindset and what she does during the off season and in season as well. And everything business wise too. She's going to be an incredible businesswoman when she retires in however many years. And we're talking about, what she did in the WNBA. It's amazing to think what she's going to do for this league and for women's sports on the whole outside of it as well.
28-10 in that 104-85 win over Dallas last night, becoming the all-time leading scorer in franchise history, did A'ja Wilson. So, like you said, just go ahead and engrave that MVP trophy just at your convenience. That's A'ja Wilson. Willie Ramirez joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And Willie, as you mentioned, you have got the Aces number 1 in this week's ranks, followed by the Liberty, Sun, Storm, and Lynx rounding out your top 5. And I guess it's kind of convenient that 7-1 run that they're on dovetails with Chelsea's return. That they're 7-1. So not a coincidence, I don't guess, huh?
No, absolutely not. And when you look at how this team, what it's done defensively during the 8-game run, that's what's impressive because they were one of the worst teams defensively when Chelsea was on the bench, right? They at one point, I believe they were allowing the second most points in the league. And since her return, they're leading the league since June 19th with 93.1 points per game. They're allowing 80.8 points per game. So if you round where you're supposed to, round down at 0.1 to 93, round up at 81. They're basically outscoring their opponents by 12 points per game, where at one point it was a fraction of a point, if not 1 or 2, and that defense has finally come around. And they're, again, I go back to what I was saying as far as them being able to stop teams, them being able to play the roles. Kelsey Plum talked the other day about I asked her because every year since she's been here, under Lambier and then under Becky Hammond, she's talked about one aspect of her game. Last year, a lot of people were getting on her because they saw the offensive production go down. She was like, yeah, well, look at the defensive numbers. And Becky would continue to say, do you see how good she's playing on defense? So I asked Kelsey the other day what she's most proud of this season, getting to the halfway point. She said that she learned a term called psychological flexibility, and I wrote about it at my site as well. In terms of figuring out and adjusting, not season by season, but game by game, if not quarter by quarter, what she needs to do out of all aspects of her game to help the team win. If it's just passing, then she's going to adapt and be the best passer that game. If it's rebounding from a guard position, she's going to be the best damn rebounding guard she can be that game. If it's shooting and scoring, if it's drive and kick, if it's hitting the paint, whatever it is, she's psychologically going to get into that mindset and make it work. And so, I mean, there's little things about this team. Again, when I say go back to their roles, there's little aspects like that's how deep this team thinks in their mind across the board.
You know, as you look at the WNBA, Willie, at this point, it looks like the West is particularly a meat grinder. I mean, looking at your rankings, the Aces are 1, the Storm is 4, followed by Minnesota and Phoenix. And Phoenix has kind of enjoyed a little bit of a resurgence as well from the start of the season. But, you know, do you feel like there's a possibility that those 4 are going to beat up on each other as we come down the stretch and take a toll on one another?
I think the entire league has beat up on each other this entire first half of the season because of the way that the schedule has been condensed, and they've crammed all these games. If you talk about the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark, 11 games in the first 20 days, throwing her into the fire. You realize that Caitlin Clark will have averaged 1 game every 3.5 days when they hit the All-Star break, so going back to November, I think 6th, when Iowa started. So that means that the same thing could be said for Kate Martin. These women, these rookies, Angel Reese, JC Sheldon, they've been playing since November. And a week or 2 after the draft, they were in training camp. Mm-hmm. So this condensed schedule has beaten them up already. When they come out of it, it'll be a lot more even and a little more spread out. And I think that they'll be fine. I don't necessarily know if beat up on each other is the right phrase, just because this is a physical league as we've come to learn. And the East Coast has some physical teams in the Connecticut Sun, the New York Liberty, the Chicago Sky. So I think what I'm really interested to see, and I'm intrigued to see in the second half of the season after the Olympic break, is who's battling for the 6th, 7th, and 8th spots. I asked Natasha Cloud about it last Sunday, a week ago yesterday, and she said that this is one of the best seasons that she's seen in a long time. And she even admitted, she said, which I quoted her in this week's rankings, and she said it used to be a time where you could just say we're gonna lace them up and we got this one. She said 1 to 12, you can't do that this season. So can you imagine, guys? For the first half of the season, all we've been talking about realistically is outside of spot times, the Aces in Asia, Connecticut's the Liberty, the Commissioner's Cup, the Lynx, has been Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, Sky Fever, Rookie of the Year race. Can you imagine if these other teams that are down below the 8th spot make a surge and all of a sudden the final playoff spot is between the Fever and the Sky? It's a real possibility.
Break the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll set all-time viewership records. That would be a playoff series. That would be, or if it came down to some final meeting out of the Eastern Conference, it would be tremendous. I mean, they probably won't meet because of the way that the seedings work, but it would be incredible if they ended up playing in the playoffs. That would be wild.
Willie, I guess any WNBA show is contractually obligated to mention either Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. Haven't seen Angel, though. Seems like she has really caught fire here in the last couple of weeks, and then has that double-double streak that is just really impressive to see. But I'm curious, when you've seen her, have you seen that growth? Have you seen, because it seems like the first couple of weeks of the season, she was doing okay, but it seems like she still had a quote-unquote a lot to learn. But now it seems like in the last 2 weeks even, she's really taken her game up to another level.
I'll be honest with you. If you think about this, the season's not even 2 months old. So we're not even 8 weeks into the season. And so the reality is that there was so much focus around the league with everything else that was going on. And it mainly Caitlin Clark, so that she was getting all the headlines. And when they would talk to Angel Reese, if you listen to some of the questions, this is why I don't like a lot of the video journalists that's all they do, the TikTokers, or if you will, because they just put out her sound bites. They put out Caitlin Clark's, they put out Angel Reese's. One sounds hostile, one sounds appreciative and flowery, but they don't include the question. And I think that they were really triggering Angel Reese to answer in a certain manner. And the fact of the matter is, like I said, we are roughly 8 weeks into the season, if that. May 14th was opening night. So you guys do the math. 18 and 30 is 48, and then we're 7 days in till 55. So yeah, we're just 1 day shy of 8 weeks into the season. Angel Reese has been playing some pretty good basketball for almost the entire season. It's just during this double-double streak, we're hearing more and more about it. I did a mid-season or a quarter poll awards article at my site as to who I had, the winner, the runner-up, right there, and then snubbed, as if I snubbed somebody. And I had Angel Reese as Rookie of the Year. I've had Angel Reese as Rookie of the Year. You can go look at the date on my story that I wrote, because I think that overall she's had the better look. They both had incredible seasons, but what you have to look at is what the deficiencies are of both players. And that's what takes away from if you were voting for that player. And I think that Caitlin Clark has struggled a little bit more than Angel Reese. People could talk about her missing her shots and then getting her own rebound, or all she's got to do is hit bunnies. But if she wasn't hitting those shots or she wasn't grabbing those rebounds, wouldn't we be talking about that anyway? Wouldn't we be dogging her if she wasn't doing that? So we have to praise her when she is doing that. So that's her game. That's what she's supposed to be doing. So I love Angel Reese's game. Right now, I think she has the nod for Rookie of the Year. It's not a knock on Caitlin Clark. It has nothing to do with being a Caitlin Clark hater. I get that all the time for some reason. But it's more so just that I think that Angel Reese, is the overall complexion of what she's done has been fantastic. It's incredible. She's the leading rebounder in the league, above Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones. I mean, I could go on and on with some of these names. I mean, that's a pretty impressive feat for a rookie.
Willie G. Ramirez joining us here on Main Street Sports today. We have talked about Angel Reese's string of double-doubles. So again, as Wade said, we are obligated to acknowledge Caitlin Clark's triple-double Saturday against the Liberty, the first by a rookie. So wanted to be sure and get that in there before we find out that we are Caitlin Clark haters as well. But Willie, who is a team in the WNBA? And I know you got to get out of here. Who should we be talking about that we're not talking about right now?
You know what, Mo? I appreciate you remembering, but I'm actually in the studio where I had to get to when I told you I had to get. So I came into the studio to do so.
Buckle up, baby.
I'm here at Lotus Broadcasting in Las Vegas, getting ready for my own show at 3:00 that I'm doing. So as far as the team, who's going to be dangerous? Okay, you mentioned it earlier. If the Phoenix Mercury have everybody intact, healthy, 100%. They could be the most dangerous sleeper team. Like, they're not a sleeper, so I don't like that word, because I mean, you don't label Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, Natasha Cloud, Rebecca Allen. You don't label them sleepers. But as far as where they're at in the standings, that's going to be the menace. They're going to be the team that's going to be a thorn in somebody's side if they're all playing. If they're all healthy. They just need to be healthy, because we're talking about multi-WNBA champions. We're talking about a lot of experience. I mean, Kalia Copper is proven to be the offseason acquisition of the year, if you will. And Nate Tebbets has done a great job. They all love and have respect for Coach Nate. They've all spoken high praise for him. Natasha Cloud has said that he's one of the best coaches she's ever had as far as players coach, communication, and getting to understand what they want and blending the personalities. So personally, I think the most dangerous team that's not in that's been in that top 5 conversation all season is the Phoenix Mercury. I think that's a team that could cause some problems for one of the top seeds. If you get Phoenix into the first, because I think the top 2 seeds, right? They'll get the bye, and then you have the other teams. If the Mercury get into that next round, they're going to be a problem for somebody, whoever it is they play. And if once you get them, you put Diana Taurasi into the WNBA finals, it's open game.
Willie G. Ramirez, you can follow him on Twitter at I don't have it in front of me. At Willie G. Ramirez. That's easy enough. You can also check out his website at wgramirez.com. And if you call yourself a WNBA fan, then I shouldn't be telling you anything that you don't already know in terms of the website. But Willie, we appreciate your help. We appreciate your time and look forward to talking to you again here soon.
Absolutely. Let's catch up. I'm going to be doing a 3-week sabbatical, getting out of town for a mental health retreat, but love to jump on. I'll be at an isolated lake community, but I got Wi-Fi, so the background would be kind of cool. We could talk a little Olympic hoops if you like. Otherwise, we'll catch up when I get back in town.
That sounds good, man. In the meantime, stay cool and stay hydrated. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, when we come back for the final segment of the Monday Mirror here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it's the grab bag. As we look back over the weekend and look at, well, a lot of stuff that we need to catch up on. So stay tuned when we return to the Lee Company studios after this.
Bluegrass Auction Associates is hosting another estate auction in White House, Tennessee on Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. Join Bluegrass as they sell the Judy Matthews Honeycutt Estate, conveniently located in the scenic Orchard Park subdivision. This beautiful estate includes both real estate and personal property, so everything must go. Everything will be sold on-site and in person, and a 10% buyer's premium is added to the final bid. So bid with confidence with Bluegrass Auction Associates, committed to excellence.
Of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely, coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective abodes, and it is the grab bag. When last we heard from Dan Hurley, he was telling the Lakers he wasn't coming west. Well, it seems he has one more reason to not go, or maybe 8.3 million reasons to not go, as the two-time NCAA national championship coach and the University of Connecticut have agreed to a new 6-year, $50 million deal. Averages out to $8.3 million per year. The only coach in men's college basketball making more than Dan Hurley is Bill Self. And I imagine Kansas is kicking themselves over that contract, but that's another story for another day. Lakers offered Hurley $70 million over 6 years. So clearly it wasn't about the money. But he has a chance to win a third consecutive national title with the Huskies. And, you know, I don't know. Be tough to bet against him.
Yeah, they lost a lot, but he certainly got the coaching chops, and kind of not surprised, right? I mean, this is a win-win for everybody. It's a win for UConn. It's a win for Hurley. A chance to kind of further what he's already done, which has just been out of this world, these tournament runs. They've obviously had great seasons too, but the tournament runs have just been insane, the way they've dominated these last 2 years. And the fact that he's kind of justly rewarded for that, and UConn gets to keep him around. Still really don't know what to make of all that deal with the Lakers. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, that goes into this. We hear so much about college football coaches and agents getting involved and leaking things here and there. And it kind of feels like some of that, to me at least, was a little bit more of a smokescreen than anything. But at the end, Hurley does turn them down, quote unquote. And when something like that happens, hey, I'm coming back home, feed the bear, type situation.
Right. Yeah. And the bear has been fed, clearly. Wade, again, I will defer to you on this.
That's usually not a good thing.
No, it's a great thing here because I'm recognizing my limitations. They are many. One of them is the NBA. DeMar DeRozan to Sacramento.
Saw that news over the weekend briefly. Didn't didn't feel like a traditional landing spot. The Kings, they were right there on the cusp of making the playoffs. I think they did even make the play-in games last year. So they're kind of right in there. And DeRozan was kind of what felt like the last big, I don't want to say good in the sense of, there's still some teams that are going to get some assets and some key pieces going forward, but he felt like the big superstar that was still kind of dangling.
The last one kind of out there on the
felt like it to me, unless there's some sort of trade that goes down.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, Sacramento, not the sexiest landing spot for a highly touted, well recruited, for lack of a better phrase, player. It's interesting. And again, I'm not a huge NBA guy, but I did not expect a guy who was being pursued the way DeMar DeRozan was to wind up in Sacramento. 6-time All-Star. Sacramento sends Harrison Barnes and a 2031 first-round pick to San Antonio. And I guess San Antonio sent Chris Duarte and 2 second-round picks to the Bulls for DeRozan.
Yeah, the Bulls are kind of in full rebuild mode. So this makes sense that DeRozan's plans are, ships in the night, right? The Bulls are looking to restart, and DeRozan's trying to kind of help somebody get better or get over the hump, which it looks like he's going to be able to do. I mean, he averaged 24 points a game last year. Some of his best seasons offensively were these last 3 years in Chicago, and he was playing at a superstar level. There was a lot of kind of consternation when Chicago acquired him a couple seasons ago. Is that a great contract? We weren't really sure. And somehow, some way, he kind of played out and went above expectations. So it makes sense. But yeah, you're right. The Kings didn't feel like a perfect fit or the best fit, but DeRozan can help that team, and they'll be fun to watch. They've got Fox, they've got Monk, and Sabonis is a double machine. So the core is set up nicely. And if you get DeRozan in and he continues to maybe play at the level he's played the last season or two, they'll be fun to watch next year.
It's interesting. I'm looking at a CBSSports.com article that has this deal graded as a D- for the Kings. And I mean, I don't know enough to dispute that, obviously, but to bring somebody like that in and to go to the trouble that you went to get him, I don't think that was the grade that you were looking for on that. I wonder again, you might have a better feel for that than I do. The Spurs get an A+ for their part in the deal. And I guess in part it's because of the draft capital that they have collected, that they added to with this deal. They have a unprotected first rounder from Atlanta in 26, top 1 protected from Boston in 28. They have an unprotected and a top 1 protected in 2030 one from Dallas, one from Minnesota. And then they have an unprotected first round pick from Sacramento in 31. So the Spurs are in building mode and have the draft capital to do so. Chicago gets a C on the trade, leaning on Duarte's combining with Josh Giddey, I guess. But, D-.
Yeah, well, the only thing is it feels like with DeRozan, we're right back to where we were when he arrived in Chicago, because coming out of Toronto, you're like, okay, are we really ready to have this conversation? Is he an elite player? And then we saw it with San Antonio as well. It just feels like every time he goes to a new spot, he's kind of having to constantly prove the value of the contract, because the contract is such a big number. It kind of catches you off guard.
Mm-hmm.
And same deal that happened in Chicago. He kind of surprised everybody, surprised me for sure that he kind of played to the level that he did. So I'll be fascinated to see how this works out, because on paper it kind of doesn't make sense and it doesn't seem like a good fit. But if he continues to play the way that he has, it could end up being okay. And the good news is, he's a West Coast guy. He was just in the new Kendrick Lamar video. He's back out in his neck of the woods, as opposed to being stuck in Chicago, where they are in full fire sale mode at this point.
How long is it before Dalton Connect is in somebody's video?
With the bling we saw him on at draft night, probably not long at all. And if he hangs around LeBron enough, or says the right things to LeBron and passes the right passes to the other James on the team, he'll find his way into some swagged out situations, to say the least, I bet.
He may need to shoot it a little bit better than he has to this point. 6 of 25 in 2 games in the California Classic is the former Tennessee star. We've seen him have some not great shooting nights, but I think that's a guy that you're just going to kind of have to suffer through it with, right?
I think so. And everything we think about Dalton Connect, let's not forget that this time last year, nobody really had a clue who this guy was or anything about him, right? So we just naturally have given him, based on what we saw last year, all of this assumption that he's just going to pick right back where he left off. But you got to tip your cap to Rick Barnes and that staff for developing him. I still think it's going to be a great pick for Los Angeles. And at the end of the day, it is, the stats are what the stats are, but he's still getting his feet wet, and it is summer league at the end of the day, I suppose.
The dude averaged 21.7 points per game en route to becoming an All-American, pretty much a consensus All-American. I don't know of any All-American team that did not include him. So, goal still 10 feet.
Yep.
Ball hadn't changed. Dude's a shooter. I think, I don't think I would make much out of it, although 6 for 25 does make for a great story.
Yeah, it don't look good, but it'll be all right.
What is that? That's what, 24% from the floor? It's not great. But for all of the things that you said, it is summer league. None of this matters. And I don't think that there's probably anybody on the floor with Dalton Connect right now that makes him less than your top option on defense.
Yeah, Los Angeles. And the other thing too, right? More often than not, you're talking about different coaching staff. JJ's in the building, but he's not really dialed in the process right here. No. This is kind of just an extended for the guys that are guaranteed, obviously. The rookies that just got drafted in the first round and some of the second rounders. This is kind of just an extended training or a early preseason for a lot of these guys. So he'll be all right. Like I said, as long as he keeps passing to the younger James on the team,
he's probably going to be
all right. I
think
LeBron's going to have his back. Yeah, he can go 0 for 25, and as long as he keeps passing to Bronny, he'll be all right.
To your point, Laker Summer League coach Dane Johnson. It's a long summer league. It's going to come. He's a great player, so I'm not worried about him missing some of the shots he's taking. He's a great shooter. Let the game come to him. There are some flashes where you see that he's got it. Dane Johnson, not JJ Redick, by the way. So yeah. We'll keep an eye on it. Sure, he's going to be all right. Tomorrow, 2:00. Wade and I will be at the Dixie Theater in Lewisburg helping observe Tavares Tears Day. Join us. We hope to have the Tennessee right fielder on with us, and it's going to be a great day. So we will see y'all again, 2:00 tomorrow here on Main Street Sports Today. Have a good Monday evening.